Marketing Edge on TV is Nigeria's leading initiative in the business of brand management and in the management of brand business. It is a 30-minute awesome package that comprises brand news, branding focus, and industry conversation, all in a mix, encompassing thorough and in-depth analysis aimed at promoting the brand idea. My name is Bababumi Agbibi. Welcome to the program.
Marketing Edge on TV, promoting the brand idea.
We begin with brand news, where we bring you the latest developments around brands and in the field of marketing and advertising in Nigeria and around the world.
Lagos recently became the starting point of a global conversation on women's visibility in the creative economy, as Black Art hosted the first edition of Through a Lens, bringing industry leaders together to push for equal opportunity, access, and leadership representation. Chief Executive Officer of Black Art and convener of Through a Lens, Osarimen Ukurebo, says the initiative is designed to strengthen visibility, access, and equal opportunities for women across the creative industry.
Through a Lens is an initiative to progress women within the creative space in terms of equality and in terms of projection for equality in job opportunities, equality in job pay, and accessibility to global platforms. So the initiative is basically centered around women within the creative space in partnership with the UN Women on Stereotype Alliance, an initiative of the UN Women.
Speakers say storytelling power is shifting and women must upshape the narratives defining the future of creativity.
So there's a need for some kind of Nigerian creative index of sorts that looks at how many women do we have. I can tell you there are about 80 agencies in Jukwe where I'm the president, and I can only think of 2 women holding the position of creative directors. That is a problem. How do we turn that around? So there needs to be that, deliberate action on our part as an industry.
Unanimously, speakers say expanding opportunities for women is critical to shaping the future of the creative industry in Nigeria and beyond.
It is important for African creatives, especially women creatives, to build their brand, but also be sure to build their brands, not just as a personal brand, but also as an institutional brand.
This day and age, because of the digital age, everybody has become a creative producer, a strategist, or a brand builder, as the case may be. But it doesn't take away the professionalism, because at the end of the day, you must understand the importance of why it's so critical to understand how things are done and why they're done.
And my message to women is that we have so much power as legacy shapers, legacy builders, as community custodians, as value custodians. We have so much power to shape the narrative and move it away from giving women access to saying, no, listen, a bird doesn't fly with one set of wings, it flies with both wings. Men and women complement each other because we're human beings.
Alumni, industry leaders, and long-term associates gathered at the Lagos Country Club to celebrate Nigeria's marketing research icon, Karim Akonde Tejumola, as former Interior Minister Rauf Aregbesola called for national recognition of his decades of impact on the profession. Veteran Joke Silva and Taiwo Bileye brought emotional depth to the celebration as they read the biography of marketing research icon Karim Akonde Tejumola, while alumni shared powerful testimonials reflecting his mentorship and lasting influence across generations of professionals.
He's inspired me a whole lot. I wouldn't have been a researcher at all if it wasn't for Mr. Karim Akonde Tejumola. You understand? RMS formed me, but Mr. Tejumola encouraged me so much that I took up the profession marketing research, and I'm a career marketing researcher.
I've met him, we have been friends, and his younger brother was also a colleague at NTA and a friend. And professionally, he gave me an opportunity to do some work with his company. edit scripts for him, proofread stuff. Generally, a friend, and we were in contact all the time.
I worked in RMS from 1994 until 2004, and every year of those years, I was happy to be there. Uncle Deji was a great inspiration to everyone. He was a kind Oga to all of us. We had fun together. We enjoyed working in RMS because we worked like a family, and he treated us like his family.
The future of research is bright, buoyancy, but people will need to change. In fact, they're changing. It's not we need to change. Anybody who's just thinking of changing is behind the game. So they move forward.
The high point of the evening was the unveiling of his portrait and special award presentation in recognition of his enduring contributions to Nigeria's marketing research profession. The Women in Out-of-Home Advertising Nigeria marked International Women's Day in Lagos by celebrating women's contributions to the out-of-home sector and swearing in a new executive team led by Adeola Odesanya. Industry leaders including Tolulope Medebem, Emmanuel Ajufo, Shola Akinshuku and Bumi Oke were recognized for supporting women's advancement across the sector. Speakers at the event affirmed the growing influence of women across Nigeria's out-of-home advertising landscape. Participants further advocated deeper collaboration across industry bodies to accelerate inclusion and sustain women's progress in the sector.
That was brand news. Next is Branding Focus after this break.
Marketing Edge on TV, promoting the bright idea.
Now, Branding Focus. Nigerian consumer behavior in 2026 is changing fast, and brands must adapt quickly. Already, traditional sales playbooks from 2024 are delivering fewer results as inflation bites, credit tightens, and spending habits shift. Consequently, FMCG companies report falling purchase volumes even as revenues hold steady. Meanwhile, premium products linger on shelves as consumers trade down to value alternatives. At the same time, digital lenders face stricter regulations, cutting off easy credits that once fueled discretionary spending. As a result, shoppers delay buying electronics, furniture, and non-essential items, while smaller pack sizes and unit purchases surge. Moreover, traditional retail and neighborhood shops remain resilient, offering flexible payments, credit, and convenience that e-commerce can't match. Furthermore, social commerce is bridging the gap, blending online reach with personal connection. Importantly, purchase decisions now hinge on immediate value, peer recommendations, and accessibility rather than brand prestige or aspiration. Definitely, the consumer patterns emerging in 2026 are not temporary. They are structural, shaping spending habits and expectations well into 2027 and beyond. Brands that recognize these shifts, adapt pricing, distribution, and messaging now will thrive. Those that wait may discover the market has permanently moved beyond old strategies.
Marketing Edge on TV, promoting the bright idea.
That was Branding Focus. Next is Industry Conversation, where we discuss with industry thought leaders who have distinguished themselves and have made tremendous impact in their chosen field. On Industry Conversation today, we'll be having the concluding part of our conversation with the Chief Executive Officer, Red Lantern Media Company, Deji Onadeko. Thank you for being with us.
Pleasure's on mine.
Nigeria is projected to lead Africa's digital advertising market in the coming years.
Yeah.
And what factors will drive this growth?
I mean, we have the numbers, but we need education. We need people, we need increased earnings for people. People need to develop beyond, poverty. There are so many factors that will drive this growth. We need power in this country. We need consistent power. We need people to be able to afford these phones, these gadgets, right? We need people to be educated. I always give examples about how street interviews in Nigeria, if you do a street interview on the streets of New York, right, or on the streets of Paris, just talking to a random person, the quality of what you get is way better than the quality of what you get on the street here in Nigeria, right? So I think that generally, the things that will drive that growth, I say it every time, the first most important thing, and I think it's not an answer people expect, but I've been paying attention over the last few, is education. We need more exposed individuals. It would naturally increase the quality of what I will create. Because if what I'm about to create, the quality, no matter how high it is, if it can't appeal to you because of you're not very educated, there's no point. And education is not that you can speak English. That's not education. Education is exposure to the world and to what's possible, right? So I would like to leave it at that. I want, as a media, authority in this country, I want a more educated audience. No, I want a more exposed audience, a more informed audience. Of course, I also want a richer audience. I want a more stable and a more economically stable audience. These are the things that I think would help, drive that. We already have the numbers, right? But we need our people to be more educated.
Brands are investing in short-form content these days. How can media professionals help brands stand out in this crowded space? Everybody doing it, but this is the way you can do this to stand out.
I think the first thing is authenticity. Media professionals have to begin to learn their audience first. Using AI and everything we said earlier, understand the audience. So when a company, a brand needs your help to promote their product, I don't want people to start from the understanding of the product or the understanding of the market. They have to start from the understanding of the audience. That's why short form came to be, because we noticed that the audience cannot sit for a content so long. We also noticed through data that the audience watches vertical content more likely on their phone than, they watch vertical content more than the regular landscape. They watch portrait content more. So understand your audience. That's number one. Number two, you can't afford to not be authentic in the story that you tell. And I think that one of the problems that we have in Nigeria is we don't spend enough time in preparation. We spend more time executing. If you want to make a film today, in fact, some people walk into the room and they get their scripts for the first time on that day, right? And I think that might be killing us. We don't spend enough time in research, right? So I do think that to truly support brands, media professionals want to first understand their audience. They want to spend a lot more time on research, right? We don't want to be too, and this is harder to ask because of the economy, nonetheless, because of the instability that comes to the economy. But you don't want to be too money-centric. You really want to be story-centric. You want to be impact-centric, because I've noticed that in selling the product, a lot of people focus, for example, on just the landing page, how beautiful it looks, the experience of it, right? But how, as a media company, how intentional are you also to ascertain that the product you call quality is indeed quality? How much quality assurance are you doing with your brand? Are you just, lying to them just so they can get you paid and stuff like that? So as media professionals, we want to not forget the ethics of the business. Because of it has become so widespread and it has become so democratized, one of the things that is missing in our space is ethics. And in the heart of of the ethics, you can't miss out on being authentic. You can't miss out on the quality of the product. You can't miss out on the quality of the story that you're telling and the preparation that goes into it and the data that is needed to create, right? So if brands paid attention to this a lot more, I think they're going to do a lot better for their brands.
Podcast, streaming, connected TV, they become major global platforms these days.
Yes, please.
Now, do you see these platforms being advertising channels where people can advertise these days now?
I mean, it already is. It's being used, I said, curiosity made me ask. Both his short, so both his long form, or there's advert on everything. Sometimes I'm always like there's advert everywhere. So I do think that there is a tendency for them to even, what traditional TV just does for us is it gives us credibility, and credibility only because they've been here for a long time. And you can't buy time. You can't buy time, right? So that's why, you're not going to easily pick the credibility of, a digital media that has more views over a traditional media that has been here for the last 50 years or the last 40 years, right? If I'm permitted to mention, even NTA, that people speak about how low the quality is, blah, 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 blah. But you know that if it's NTA that gave the news, the credibility of it is way higher than if it is a Pulse TV or than it is a Cracks TV, just because of the timeline, that has existed. So inevitably, right, credibility, which is why I've said traditional media is going to be here for a while, but people are watching this, and when you're trying to advertise, what you're in search of, you're farming for numbers, and the thing about podcast platforms, streaming platforms, is the data is readily available. I can click on one podcast now and see that 10 million people have watched it instantly. I can see that data, so I know that if I'm able to put my product on this, like 10 million people are going to see it the next time it plays, and maybe a 1% conversion rate of that. Like those numbers, those data are easy. So generally, you see how digital media has democratized everything and made it possible. So I do see, and I don't see, it is already happening, right? Like it is already happening. If you really want to take over, with the product, you cannot necessarily miss out, on podcast and, short form content and the likes.
Let's talk about regulation.
Yeah, interesting.
How would you describe the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission, Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria, and the regulation? How has it affected the development of the Nigerian creative space?
Yeah, I mean, because for this one, I got to be careful, they're my regulators. But if I'll be very honest, I think it's really impressive, the kind of structures that we've seen in place, that has been put in place to help. No industry can really function properly and fairly without its regulators, on top of their toes, for revenue, for the government or for the country, but also, to balance things up, to make things a lot more stable. And I think that, over the last few, and I'm not just saying this because they're my regulators, but I think over the last few, they've done such a fantastic job to help us slot in that structure. Of course, inevitably, regulation sort of increases overhead cost, right? Regulation also sort of, reduces, dumbs down creativity, because you come up with a very nice copy for some radio ad or some TV ad, but they'll tell you, no, you cannot use this, no, you cannot do this, no, you cannot use this word, and all that. But I guess that's what the balance is all about, right? So I do think that, the way it affects, of course, is that it has increased overhead costs, it has increased bureaucracy, and creativity doesn't do very well with bureaucracy, but creativity needs structure. And that's what I think our regulators have given us, that what they're hard on, paying attention to over and over again. Of course, we hope that there has to be constant dialogue between, practitioners and the regulators, constant dialogue. I remember the very popular speech by a certain man, I can't remember his name, who said that, in Nigeria, but I don't think that's the case anymore really, but he spoke about a time where, and not so far behind, maybe like 10 years ago, where if you really want to impress, the president as a regulator, you go and, lock up stores and lock up shops and, say that they're owing this and owing that and people are impressed. But in communities that want to grow, that's not how you encourage, your investors or your business people or your practitioners. You need to be seen as an enabler of the success of the practitioners in that industry, right? Which is what I would hope that we can furthermore do. Because I am saying that I've been in a lot of this pally, back and forth, a lot of these conversations. These doors stay open as long as they can. I do know that it can get better, but I think generally it's not been such a bad experience.
So I like the name Red Lantern.
Yeah.
So will you tell us what is Red Lantern all about and the vision behind the company? All right.
So Red Lantern is a 360 digital media solutions firm, right? From production, from videos to ads, digital, to digital marketing, to social media management, to talent management. Red Lantern is a one-stop shop, built off the back of my work in the industry for about, 10 years before Red Lantern started, which was the fact that, I did touch base with almost every arm of the industry. And Red Lantern just ended up becoming an expression of that seeming, dexterity, that seeming ability to really impact different sectors of the industry. And Red Lantern has simply become that. And, we're a crop of people who, embody what courage means in the industry. The industry is not, the agency space is not necessarily very easy to get into. There's a lot of, cartel and caucus and, people already have their own people that they work with. But one of the things we represent is courage. And I think it's one of the things that we help our brands achieve, the courage to do big things, right? I'm always quick to make reference to the Bible that says, as far as your eyes can see, right? When God told Abraham, my eyes see very far, to say the very least, and Red Lantern can help your brand not just see far, but be seen as well.
So I know you list out several strengths, but what's your unique strength in Red Lantern?
I mean, I think our unique strength is the fact that we're very daring. You know, it's easy to say, oh my God, we're very creative, oh my God, but we're very out of the box type of daring, right? And, you know, in a world that moves as fast as we move now, you need audacity. And audacity we have at Red Lantern.
Who is Deji Onadeko beyond the office?
Oof, I forget these days because like I'm literally almost always, you know, working, you know, with Red Lantern, trying to build what it is that we're trying to build. I'm also very excited about what it is looking like. But aside from that, Deji Onadeko is an inspirational speaker. I'm happy to always mention that. I'm excited to inspire, you know, your greatest instinct that you may achieve your greatest potential. You know, my life is a definition of me staring at the mirror and telling myself that I can do it, right? And I think that people underestimate the impact of, you know, believing in yourself, hyping yourself up, reminding yourself of what matters the most, you know. So outside Red Lantern, I'm really just doing that for individuals, for high-end clients, as the case may be. But aside from that, I'm also just a, you know, down-to-earth kind of guy. I really like my couch. I'm a couch potato. I like to watch TV a lot. I like to watch football a lot. I like to spend time with friends, with family. You know, I like to spend time with my colleagues as well, my staff members, where we just chill and have fun, you know. And I like to travel. I like to see the world, right? And I hope that, you know, we can build Red Lantern to the point where, you know, I can see the world a lot more and not just be stuck behind the desk trying to make sure my clients are happy. I'm happy doing it, by the way.
So what values guide your leadership style and, you know, your approach to delivering value to your clients?
I mean, two questions. First, my leadership style.
Yes.
First is growth. Growth, hard work. I like people who are dedicated to their growth. I'm very quick, you know, to give feedback when you do good work. I'm not one of those leaders who think that, oh my God, don't let them know they're doing a good work, so they don't ask for increase in salary, so they don't. I think that the growth of my team members is a direct, you know, is a direct definition of the growth of, you know, my firm, of my growth as well. You know, so one of the things we don't joke with at the firm is different ways with which the people can grow, with which each staff can grow. I'm also very big, you know, on dedication, on commitment, on transparency. And I would use that to also cross into the answer of, you know, to my clients. You know, people think that transparency is a thing of moral. People think it's a thing of, you're a good person, be transparent. I think transparency is a strategy in itself. People, this business is a business of trust, right? And one of the things you want your clients to know is that when you say A is A, when you say B is B, right? So we're very straightforward as possible. Also, because in our experiences, we've also seen that, you know, trying to cheat the system, trying to cheat the numbers, never pay you in the long run. And I've been in the industry long enough to learn that, right? However you are doing it. So we are straightforward as possible with our data, with our numbers, with the money, with the creativity, with our blocks, whatever obstacles we're experiencing. You know, with our clients, we're not offering a service. We are members of their firm. We are, you know, we're preaching their gospel like we own it. Like for every firm that I own, I always pretend like I own equity in that business, and that if they failed, even if their failure was linked to my firm or not, it is my failure, right? And, you know, what that helps me do is really dedicate, you know, as much time as need be to each and every project I'm working on.
So I did a bit of snooping around and I found out some videos where you talked about being a misfit and all, and working with clients, do you believe in diversity, or you just have a certain kind of clients you like to work with?
No, you gotta think like there's no box. You know, that's the story of my life, right? You gotta think like there's no box. You know, you have to be open to whatever is possible, right? You know, with how fast the world is evolving, nothing stays the same for too long. Meaning that if you stay the same, like, you would quickly fade away. The only constant thing is change, right? So, I mean, to directly answer your question is that, no, I don't work with just the type of client. I mean, if it's just the type of client, it's the client that have money, to be fair. But I don't work with just the type of client. I don't work with just the type of industry. Our work has cut across tech, you know, I mean, when we started, people sort of encouraged us to keep it tech. Everybody likes tech. Just make sure it's tech. That's where all the money is, fintech. But guess what? The fintech bubble has busted now. Everybody that builds their businesses off the back of these fintechs are not necessarily gaining strength. Thank God we did not. We've done supermarket chains, we've done fintech, we've done traditional businesses across Africa. We've done, individual brands, whatever the case may be. So long as they share the value of quality and excellence with us, I will go, or we will go to the ends of the earth to deliver to you, your audience.
What's your perspective on building strong and lasting relationships with agencies and clients?
It's everything. It's everything. Some of the biggest agencies we look up to have been with the same firm for 8, 9, 10, 12, 15 years, right? And that must have been repeatedly delivering quality year in, year out. They become a team, no longer partners, no longer just two people trying to get things done. They become one. They marry each other. You see, agency and client relationship is literally a marriage, right? The two become one instantly. Whatever affects them affects this, whatever affects this affects them. Of course, there are different, levels to that, but I think it has become a marriage, and it is very, very, very important. And it is important that despite a lot of people try to keep such relationships off the back of maybe kickbacks, off the back of personal relationships, I think it's important to learn to also, most importantly, if not only importantly, to keep those relationships off the back of delivering quality work. Constant quality work. Quality work speaks for itself at all times. I don't care whose ox is God. I don't care who steps into the room, wants to, steal a project from you or whatever, but if you constantly deliver quality work, and quality is not just in the work in itself, it's in the process. And I tell my team every time, the end does not justify the means in this industry. Every touch point, the experience you give to your clients at every touch point in the direction of the end matters in this industry. The end will not just, the conversations, how quickly you're able to respond to your emails, how quickly you're able to deliver, the strategy asked of you, all of that matters up until the end. So yeah, relationship is everything. Do well to build one, but don't just build it like a social climber. Build it like an excellent person, like you like quality.
Thank you very much. You make the creative space an interesting place to work.
It is.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I've been speaking with the Chief Executive Officer, Red Lantern Media Company, Deji Onadeko. Thank you so much.
Pleasure has been absolutely on mine. Thank you very much for having me.
The conversation continues on our website, www.marketingedge.com.ng, and all our social media handles at Marketing Edge. My name is Bababumi Agbibi.